Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Good evening and welcome to the February 17th, 2026 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting as the hour is 6 o'clock p.m. I'm calling the meeting to order. For the first hour, the board will be downstairs in the wheelwright room, hopefully for the first 50 minutes under non-public session. Upon exiting that, we will be conducting one board interview and returning back to the Novak room at approximately 7 p.m. to conduct our regular business meeting. So with that, I would entertain a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A 32L.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Selectman Chartran?
Aye.
Selectman Cowan?
Aye.
Selectman Gilman?
Aye.
Clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. The board will be moving into non-public. Thank you. Good evening and welcome back to the February 17th, 2026 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. The board has been down in the wheelwright room in a non-public session and also for a board interview. And I apologize, we're returning a little bit late. But with that, I'd like to say good evening to my colleagues on the board, respective town staff, those in attendance this evening, and certainly those watching at home. And I'd like to start by introducing the board. Selectman Dan Chartrand, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Our Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan, good evening.
Hi, everyone.
To my left, our Clerk, Selectwoman Nancy Belanger, good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Selectwoman Julie Gilman, good evening.
Hello.
Our Interim Town Manager to my right, Melissa Roy, good evening.
Good evening,
Our
everyone.
Recording Secretary, Joanna Bartel, good evening. And my name is Nico Papakostandis. First order of business this evening is public comment. If there's anybody in the public that wishes to come before the board with any comments, this would be the time. I'll pause for a moment. Seeing none, we'll move on. There's nobody online. Before we move forward with our agenda, since our last select board meeting, unfortunately, the town of Exeter lost one of our community leaders, longstanding member of the community, longstanding friend. I think anybody and everybody in Exeter knew Bill Childs, who passed away recently. As I said, Bill brought smiles to everybody he encountered with his personality, his art, and just everything about him. He will truly be missed. Our thoughts are with his daughter Lisa and his son Jay and their respective families. And in Bill's memory, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. May his memory be eternal. Selectman Chartrand, I believe you have a few words to offer, please.
I do. If it were just the fact that the Childs family has loomed so large on the Exeter stage, I don't know if I would speak because there are many families that loom large. Bill, his wife Betty, who passed away a number of years ago, and their children Lisa and Jay they're woven into the town of Exeter. But there's a very specific thing that Bill did as an artist that I'm very appreciative of. I believe that his art taught us to see our river and our downtown the way he saw it and the way he loved it. And he taught us to see it the way he saw it and the way he loved it through his art. And I think we care about our downtown the way we do in direct relationship to the way Bill saw it and loved it and portrayed it. It's not just the buildings and the bridges and the physical landscape of the downtown that he portrayed so beautifully. It's also the river that he portrayed and the marshlands in the river. He was just a master at seeing something that was always there, but we could never quite grab how special it was until he portrayed it in his art. So I just love that he created this intellectual property, this art that really got us to see how special this place is. And I think you can draw a direct line between our valuing our river more and our downtown more. You can draw a direct line to that. His coming on the scene and portraying these things in his art. We talk a lot about the arts being important. Well, this is a really specific example of how someone's creativity and love can transform all of us. So I'm just so grateful for what Bill did for this town. And I want to offer Lisa and Jay my condolences. Their father was a very special man, and I'm sure they know that better than all of us. But it's just, Exeter's, it's a great place. It's a little less of a great place with Bill gone. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Selectman Chartrand. Beautifully said.
Mr. Chair.
Selectwoman Gilman.
Just to continue on that, back in October, the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance had their fall conference here, and at the end of it, they awarded the Heritage Commission for our lead in organizing it, and what they gave us was a pen and ink drawing by Bill Childs, because they appreciated it, and it's going to be hanging up there once we get a little plaque.
Wonderful. Thank you.
That's nice.
Thanks. Okay, moving on with our agenda. Next is the approval of the minutes. This would be for our regular meeting, February 2nd, 2026. Were there any revisions or amendments?
I
Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of February 2nd, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The board conducted an interview downstairs a few minutes ago. Adam Carter put in an application for an alternate position on the Zoning Board of Adjustment. There's a term expiring April 2027. I would entertain a motion to appoint Adam Carter as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Adjustment with a term to expire April 2027.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Adam, and welcome to the ZBA. Okay. Jumping into discussion items, the first is a formality regarding the warrant article for the library. And with that, I have a notice of a public hearing pursuant to RSA 31:95B3A. Notice is hereby given that the Select Board of the Town of Exeter will hold a public hearing in the Novak Room, 10 Front Street, Exeter, beginning at 7 p.m. on the 17th day of February 2026, for the purpose of complying with the provisions of RSA 31:95B3A for the following: the creation of the Exeter Public Library Infrastructure Expendable Trust Fund. This was dated February 11th, 2026. I'd entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is open. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak to this? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have an ADA funding request from the library. We have our library director here this evening, Julia Lanter. Welcome.
I knew there was a toggle somewhere. All right. Thank you, Board of Selectmen, for talking with...
Board.
Oh, sorry, Select Board, for talking with me today. And please bear with me both here and at home. This is my first time using the remote, so I hope to not go backwards. So today we're going to be talking about a universal changing station at Exeter Public Library. When the library... Oh, first of all, what is a universal changing station for those at home? That is an adult-sized platform that can accommodate a teen, a larger child, or an adult. We currently have one that is stationary at the library, and we hope to upgrade it to a mechanical one, which is in compliance with newer ADA laws since the current one was installed. Why is this important to the community? The library is a community hub. It is a place where Exeter people come to get informed, to have equitable access to programming is part of our mission and part of the town of Exeter's mission. So we hope that having this upgrade to our universal changing tables will allow us to continue to have open access to all at the library. Just a reminder that there's about 13% of New Hampshire residents who are classified as disabled, and of those, 31,000 qualify as self-care disabled, which are people who would have access to this device. I also want to just make note that there is a new New Hampshire law that if the building were to be built today, to be in compliance, we would need to have a universal changing station that had a mobile element. The mobile element allows someone to physically lower by mechanism the table so that they can easily transfer whoever is in need of the table to the table. And that just gives a little bit more dignity to those who are using the library. Just a question for those who might say, why wasn't this done with the renovation? These laws were written after the building plan and the building of the New Exeter Public Library commenced. Once it was brought to the library director's position in 2022, we did purchase a stationary unit. What we hope to do with that unit is to actually donate it to Exeter Parks and Rec. So that will allow even more equitable access to the town of Exeter. Why are we focused on doing this at the library? We are opened some of the longest hours in town for town buildings. And that way we have more access to folks who would need this in the community and who are visiting the community. These are things that go on maps that attract people to the community. And I think that this would be something that would bring people to the community of Exeter if this was accessible within the library site. We have 6 bids that we received for the device. All of them are within current laws. We would like to go to the center top one, the Presolite 1000. It was the most inexpensive and the one that actually is currently being used at Parks and Recreation very successfully. And it also is the one that fits the space and the library the best. For installation bids, we had a wild amount of bids. Some people didn't even want to touch this because it was new and they didn't understand it. What we did have is the most expensive bid was for $11,146 from Bernier Corporation. Lane Construction gave us $7,875. Both of those 2 bids are complete installation. We were given one by Cornerstone Services for $1,746.33, but that was just to do the electrical and the install. It would not build back the wall or do any of the tile and grouting, so it was wildly under a much different pricing because we would have to have several other vendors brought in to do the installation. So that being said, in terms of the installation itself, why it's so costly is you have to add electrical, you have to reinforce the wall. Our walls have tiles, so you have to take down the tiles and reinstall the tiles. And also we want to make sure that we remove that initial non-mobile station very carefully so that we can recycle it back to the town to give the biggest bang for the buck for the community. So all total, what we're asking is $16,057. That represents the Presolite adult changing table itself, which is $8,182. And then to install that Presolite table, it would be $7,875. Both of these, the vendor, Lang, is happy to get us on the calendar ASAP. And Presolite is in stock and ready to ship as soon as that would be okayed by the board. So next step, obviously, we're here talking to you, the select board. If it were approved, we would purchase the table, schedule the install, and then what was most important is we want to really make a big noisy fuss about this, get lots of library signage, and get these on national and international maps. As of February this year, there's a new international law regarding mobile changing stations. So this is something where not just America, but the world is looking at this as an industry standard. So we want to make sure Exeter continues to be welcoming and accessible to all, which we do a great job with. And thank you for allowing me this presentation today.
Can I ask, just procedurally, because it's a little bit different where you have library trustees, I know that you're asking the board to entertain approving this from the ADA fund, which is the town fund. What have the trustees done in terms of, have the trustees voted on the vendors
Yes.
and the contractors and?
And I'm toggling because I forgot the date. April of last year, the select board did vote to upgrade the.
It says the select board, but you mean library
I mean,
trustees.
from the
Library
trustees,
board.
like,
Library
where
board
are you
of
with the
trustees.
contractor and the?
They have made approval for
Okay.
install.
So they went through an open RFP and,
No, we've
No?
gone to you first. That would happen after this meeting.
okay, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So if you haven't opened bids yet?
We did.
You
So
did
we
open
did
bids.
receive bids.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. And so you're making the recommendation for this manufacturer in this
Correct.
installation?
Correct.
Okay. I have a question for Mr. Stevens, and I don't know if you'll have the answer. Do you have the current balance of the ADA fund?
I do.
Or
Both of us do.
Ms. Roy?
82,000 currently.
Thank you.
And if I may add, the group of us that are working on the ADA fund did support this and are looking to support what they need. Like she said, this is already installed or similar one at Hampton, and we felt that this was a good use, although I know that it's library funds and town funds, but it is.
Oh, no, I think it's important. I'm just
Yeah.
procedurally, I want to make sure
Yeah,
that everything's.
absolutely.
Can I just have a
Yes,
follow-up
of course.
question? How long ago did you open those bids? I mean, they're still,
October of
Relevant,
2022.
the
And
numbers?
I did prior to this presentation,
Thank you.
AKA last week, reach out to the vendors again.
you
and
answered my question
yeah.
before I could even get it out.
Bob
Thank you.
Lang said, just give me the call and I'm there.
Okay, yes, thank you. And Parks and Rec have.
Greg is familiar, and he has been notified, and Melissa also has been notified, as well as the ADA. I apologize, I don't know, it's not a formal committee.
I know, it's just a working group here of staff that are working on ADA projects with the list that we have. But obviously, the library is a really important building in town, and we
Agreed.
thought this was a good use of the funds.
And she's not present tonight, but Amanda Kelly was the one who presented to the board initially in April. So thanks to her to starting this ball rolling. We appreciate her.
Amanda Kelly
community
got the
spirit.
ball rolling in the one downtown at our
I
public
know, well, she's
restroom.
been after this since before the library renovation.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
And I'd also like to say thank you. So we have, for those of you that don't know, we have our pool building that's open for about 8 weeks in the summer. And the library is willing to donate the stationary universal changing table because with it only being open 8 weeks of the year, it's hard to justify paying $10,000 for a mechanical one. So we're going to start with this one, which is great, which is a fantastic upgrade for those that use the pool. So we really appreciate that. So it's a little bit like the money's coming back into another town department. It's a little bit full circle. So I appreciate the library doing that.
I just have one more question.
course.
How long of the turnaround for construction to when it would be finished? Is
When
there
I
an
spoke to
estimate?
Bob, he did say he was going on vacation for 2 weeks, but his crew was still active. So
Okay.
I would say within, a 2-week period, we could
Oh,
get them
I was just wondering if it
Yeah.
would be, we're hoping a lot of people come to town in June and July for our 250th, so it would be nice to have
Yeah.
that
My
available
goal
at that time.
was as soon as possible because the more we wait, the more we're not allowing access.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to expend $16,057 from the Town of Exeter ADA Capital Reserve Fund for the procurement and installation of an ADA-compliant mechanical universal adult changing table to be installed in the Exeter Public Library Children's Room.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Julia. Okay. I think at our last meeting, we entertained Mr. Carbonneau, the president of the Exeter Country Club, along with council, and invited them back to this meeting for some follow-up discussion. I can invite you up to the table, please. And I know, Ms. Roy, I think you had a presentation to give to the board as well.
Yes.
If you would. Good evening.
Hi.
Thank you.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, for those of you who don't know me. And as you know, this is Mark Carbonneau, who's the president of the Exeter Country Club. I want to thank the Select Board for the time you've already put into this. And hopefully we can get to something that's acceptable to all of us on this. Normally, I would apologize for missing the last meeting, but having watched Chris Hilson, I'm going to apologize for actually showing up tonight because there's no way I can rival Chris Hilson and his delivery. So with that said, I'll wait to entertain any questions that the board may have. That's
Mr. Chair.
acceptable.
Yes.
I'm going to disagree. I think we just got an upgrade.
Thank you, Dan. You've always been very kind.
So
Well, it's the truth as well.
the last time that we met, the board asked us to continue some discussion. So Attorney Spector Morgan and the Country Club have communicated several times, gone back and forth, and reviewed sort of the requests and some of the discussion that came up in the meeting. And at this point, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, the Country Club is willing to put the entire golf course into the discretionary preservation easement for approximately 15 to 20 years, with two conditions that they would like us to consider, which would be that other than the 3 acres that is necessary to bring the discretionary easement to the required 10-acre minimum, that they would like the balance of the property to be assessed at the conservation easement per acre rate, which is lower than the discretionary preservation acre rate. And the second request is to confirm that they can put the driving range on the 7 acres that are not in conservation, but will be in the discretionary preservation easement, which a discretionary preservation easement, or one of the purposes, can be to preserve a public golf course, so putting the driving range would be an acceptable use. I have spoken to our council and our assessor, and they feel that these are acceptable. We would like the opportunity to just confirm completely, but we don't see any issue with those two requirements. I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
Just one tiny
Sure,
clarification.
okay.
I think we're there,
Okay.
but I just want to make sure. So with respect to the discretionary easement, we don't want to put the remaining land in. What we want to do is pick up that 7 acres that is in the discretionary easement currently onto the rest, which is the conservation easement, but we don't want to do the clubhouse. I don't think it qualifies anyway. But I just want to be clear, it's not everything else. It's
Okay.
It's what's in conservation, which is 55.25 acres, something around that.
So that gets you to greater than 10.
This certainly gets us, right, because
Yeah.
the 7 is going to be, right, will be in. So the 7 won't be sitting there by itself.
So it's right. So it's not the entire property.
Correct,
Excuse me. It's what's in conservation. Sorry.
Right.
Thank you for clarification. Take questions from the board. We always start down here, so maybe we'll start down here to start.
So just to be clear,
Yeah.
the acreage that will be in the discretionary easement is?
So I'm doing this off the top of my head,
Yeah.
but roughly 55.25 acres is in the conservation easement.
So that will now also have
So
a
that
discretionary.
will also be the discretionary easement. Then there's 7, then the 10 goes away, and then 7 is the remainder. So it would be the 55 and the 7, so 62.25.
Yep.
That's what will now be.
Be all in the
discretionary
discretionary easement as well.
And that does not include the land that the clubhouse sits on?
That is correct.
Or the parking lot?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, that's assessed at
Great.
full value.
That's what I understood we were talking about at the last meeting. So we were talking about the length of the discretionary easement, and the previous one was 10 years, I think.
Yes.
In
That's
fact,
the
it's in the
statutory
packet.
minimum,
Yeah.
so we'd like to propose extending that to 15 years, going out longer
Can I get you to do 20?
than that. We can talk.
I think it's going to play well with the neighborhood, the longer it is.
Right. So as it relates to
assures
public
them-
benefit, though, just so we understand what you get with, so with the conservation easement, doesn't require public access. While it might limit development and all that, doesn't allow for public access. And two, it doesn't come with a requirement that it has to remain a golf course. Like if you just wanted to let it grow and become the forest, you could do that too. The discretionary easement gives the town benefit of public access, and it requires that we have to maintain it as a golf course. And that's our hope.
One little correction is, as you noted in the last meeting, you see people out there snowshoeing, and you see people out there cross-country skiing. So the public access on the conservation easement is permitted so long as there's adequate snow. That's
Right.
the term of it, right?
Correct,
So we don't
sorry.
want, so we
Right.
can all go out there and snowshoe.
You don't need
That's
us
what we
breaking
want.
new trails on your fairways or greens.
Yeah,
Right,
that's true.
right. But you can, so in the wintertime, we can't prohibit the public, generally speaking,
And
unless
that's
they're, right,
the
that makes sense.
understanding.
Right,
People that walk in there, if there's no snow, they stay on the road.
Yeah.
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 You might not want to have general public access people walking around, although we've seen it happen, people going out for a walk out there on the cart paths, and they have no idea that they're about to get hit by a golf ball.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you would consider 20, I would appreciate that.
Okay. That's fine.
That's it. That's all I got.
How about
No, I have no problems.
Selectman Belanger?
So I just want to talk about the,
Do you want to make sure we get clarification on again, the tax buckets? Did we cover that clearly? Did we?
I understood that.
So my
It's at the
understanding
lowest
is.
rate, essentially.
Right, so we're gonna double check with assessing, so anything, because you guys had asked, you wanted to know where we were going forward, right? Because you needed to work with the builder. And I think that the recommendation tonight, if the board so chose, would be to work with assessing, make sure that everything is fine, work with you guys to make sure that you don't miss your March 31st deadline. But I can't confirm that, that's if they want to do that, but we wouldn't, we know that that's a priority, so we
Right.
would.
Again, that we realize that tonight nothing is final. It just allows us to take next steps with some guidance. But if there's any questions with respect to, how the different parcels are assessed, happy to try to answer that, but.
Well, my understanding, based on the interim town manager's presentation, is that if it's conservation land, it'll be assessed at that, because that's
Yep.
the lowest rate.
Correct.
And anything that's not conservation land, but is a discretionary easement
Yep.
agreement, that'll be taxed at that rate.
Yep.
And then obviously the clubhouse and the parking lot will be taxed at a different rate, so 3 buckets.
Which is exactly
It's
what we have now.
essentially what they have now.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's just more land in the discretionary easement, but we're not putting it in that bucket for tax purposes.
Correct.
I understand.
Thank you.
okay, so just, that's correct, because I did have them run the numbers. So just so the public understands, there was a benefit, and at the cost of about $35,000 for 10 years. So we're struggling with our budget and deductions and things like that, so I think it's important that the public understands that we're aware of this, at least that I am, and I think it's important. Okay.
Did I understand that correctly? It's
For 10 years.
$35,000 over a 10-year period?
Yeah, for the
Okay.
10 years.
Okay,
Which is
super.
what they currently have this expiring. It was $35,284.85.
Was the benefit?
Taxes lost, yes,
Got
tax
it.
deduction, however, whatever word you want to use.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No,
Okay.
no, thanks.
All right, and you have a March 31st deadline. First of all, is the board comfortable moving forward with allowing the interim town manager and the assessor to continue working with the country club towards moving forward with this resolution?
Yeah, again, I'm more comfortable with 20 than 10 or
Yes.
15.
Okay, all right.
I think that's the kind of assurance that the neighbors are looking for, a longer term.
I think
so
that's
they
right.
don't have to deal with a disruption again down the line.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So again, not taking any action this evening, the motion or anything, but we are comfortable with moving forward, asking the interim town manager and assessor to continue working with you to prepare the appropriate documentation for this.
For review.
We have 3 meetings in March, March 2nd, March 16th, and March 30th. Which
So-
would you feel would be most comfortable for the two of you to?
I was just going to
Two
say,
parties,
just
rather.
to make sure that council has enough time to review, I would ask for the 16th or the 30th, if that would be possible.
Sure. I mean, we appreciate the additional time. That's
Yeah.
great. I think our next steps are we're going to file an application. I think we have some, I believe the statute requires us to obtain an appraisal. And so we'll want to work with town council to see whether that is something that we have to do, something that's required by the statute,
Sure.
and we're going to be forced to do that. So that may take a little bit of time to get that under control, but
So are you comfortable with March 16th?
I think so. I mean,
And I just throw that out, I don't like waiting till the last minute, and the 30th is very close to the 31st. So
agreed.
And I will stay in touch, and Laura
Okay.
Spector, and we'll touch base and make sure that we,
And of course, that's with the understanding that if you need till the 30th, we can be flexible with that too. But
We
I think
appreciate
just
that.
if we could aim for the 16th, that would be great.
We appreciate that.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Of course.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next discussion item, we have our Public Works Director, Steve Cronin here. We have Paul Velasich here, who's working in the engineering, and we have VHB, Greg Bakos. Good evening.
Good evening.
This is an informational meeting on the intersection improvement project. I think we're all anxious to hear.
All right.
Good evening.
Sure. So before I introduce this agenda item, first off, I just want to thank Paul for continuing to provide support to the town on some of these projects. Otherwise, there's just no chance that we'd probably be here tonight. But it's not just this project, West Side Drive, School Street, Police Station. Yeah.
Pickpocket Dam.
Pickpocket Dam, yes, just to name a few, so. The front Linden and Pine Street intersection project was initiated to address some longstanding traffic and pedestrian safety concerns at this complex three-way intersection. Townwide intersection evaluation was completed in July of '22 that identified several deficiencies in the existing configuration. Based on that evaluation, a roundabout concept was recommended to improve traffic operation, provide safer pedestrian crossings, and reduce vehicle conflicts and speeds. In 2023, town meeting authorized final design and construction funding for the roundabout, and since that time, the Public Works Department has been working with our consultant VHB to advance the project through the design process. So this included coordination with project abutters to gather information, solicit feedback, and address their concerns. We also worked with PEA to secure a key easement on the Exeter Inn property. That'll allow us to relocate some existing overhead utilities and construct an ADA compliant, maintainable sidewalk in that area. During design, we also found some advanced deterioration in the sewer and storm drain infrastructure. Town meeting appropriated some money in 2025 to complete some rehabilitation work on that. That work was completed earlier this winter. So at this point, we've essentially completed the final design. We've prepared the construction documents, and we're now prepared to advertise the project for bids. with construction anticipated this upcoming construction season. So with that, I'll hand it over to Greg Bakos from VHB. He'll give you a presentation on the final design, and then we can answer any questions that you have on the project schedule and some anticipated construction impacts.
Great, thank you. Steve?
Yep.
This is just a image of the existing condition, and as Steve mentioned, there are a bunch of deficiencies there, particularly for Linden and Pine Street trying to enter onto Front Street. It's very difficult, and there are a lot of conflict points. This particular Google image just happened to catch two cars making one of those awkward maneuvers in the intersection. You can see it's wide open and not a lot of control. Control is really what is lacking. The roundabout concept solves a lot of those issues. It provides the control we're looking for. It forces all the entering vehicles to circulate around or to take a right out of the roundabout. It reduces conflict points significantly. As you're entering the roundabout, all you have to do is look to your left. If there's somebody in the roundabout, you yield, you wait. If there's not, you can progress forward. We've also addressed some of the ADA and pedestrian crossing concerns. We've added 3 crosswalks at the intersection, and each one of those is now shorter than the crosswalk that was there, or the crosswalks that were there. And as you're crossing, you're going to refuge islands in the middle of the road. So we call it a 2-stage crossing. You're only crossing one lane at a time. You only have to look to your left. So it's definitely a safer condition. And then one of the big benefits is on Front Street itself, we're dramatically reducing speeds by introducing the roundabout. Today Front Street is uncontrolled, and now you're going to have yield controls from both directions, and people will be naturally slowing down as they go through the roundabout. This is a tight intersection for a roundabout. The overall diameter is about 95 feet. That's on the small side, but we've done them smaller. We anticipate truck turning. We've designed it to allow trucks to get through. The center island is landscaped, currently drawn as landscape, the green circle in the middle. Surrounding that is a truck apron that is mountable by trucks so that the rear wheels, as they take a left going around, can track off of the main road. But cars won't be using that because it's uncomfortable. So the cars will circulate around the outside, and the truck apron allows the bigger vehicles to get through what is otherwise a pretty small roundabout. A couple of the splitter islands, the median islands that you see there, are also mountable, and for the same reason. The very large vehicles, need to track over the edges of those islands, but they are still there as traffic control islands. We did look at the existing lighting in the intersection, and I'll show you a slide in a second. We have proposed 3 additional streetlights, and before I get off this slide. There would be a loss of a total of 9 parking spaces, public parking spaces, in the upper right-hand corner there. You can see there's the diagonal parking on Front Street. We're losing 5 spaces there, the head-in parking. And then down on Pine Street itself, there's some parallel parking approaching the intersection that we had to pull back away from the intersection because of the splitter islands. But otherwise, there's no other legal spaces being lost. Steve mentioned some right-of-way acquisition, very small triangular piece of acquisition. There's an easement that was acquired already from the inn down in the right-hand corner. Otherwise, everything is being done within the public right-of-way. Go to the next slide. We conducted a photometric analysis of the existing lights, which are shown in yellow. And our program is able to tell whether we have adequate lighting, and there were some gaps. So this is a slide that shows It's kind of hard on the screen, but the orange, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 orange lights are the existing ones, and then the yellow ones are the ones that are being proposed. And the one up in the upper right, you can see is positioned near that crosswalk and near the leading edge of that splitter island, which is an important location to have a light. And then down in the bottom left, it's a similar situation. It's near that crosswalk. And then the one up on the upper left, the new one, the bright yellow one, that helps illuminate the overall intersection in an area where there are no lights. The one on the right that is red is one that we're actually suggesting removing. Because we're adding one across the street, there would actually be more than adequate lighting in that area. So adding 3 lights, maybe removing one, we're not sure yet. There'll be a lot of signs. It looks messy on this plan, but it's not as cluttered as it might appear. At each of the entries, we have a yield sign. At the crosswalks, we have pedestrian crossing signs. In the actual center island, there would be one way to the right signs to just get people circulating to the right. And that's about it. We're not proposing any types of flashing beacons or anything like that. It's all intended to be just regular signage. I should mention in this plan, in the very upper right, there's an existing mid-block crossing that we are recommending be removed. That crossing goes to what is essentially a driveway, and mid-block crossings are generally frowned on if you can help it. And by adding all the crosswalks at the roundabout, we're compensating for the loss of that mid-block crossing. And that's really all I have. I can go back if you have questions.
Selectwoman Gilman.
Yeah, I just had one question on Front Street.
Yep.
Forgive me for not remembering, but I don't travel that far out often. The curb cut that we're showing there for the parking in front of the church.
Yes.
Is that existing? That's existing, right?
Oops.
The corner of Front Street and Lincoln.
I'm going to get up and point.
Yeah.
Yes. Right here? That's the existing curb cut.
Right, but on the corner, is that a bump out that we put in?
That's existing, yep.
Okay.
We're not affecting anything down here.
No, the reason I'm asking is because of the number of funerals that occur at the
Sure,
church.
yeah.
And that the hearse will pull up in the front there. I just want to be sure that it's not going to impede on the traffic path to
Right.
the roundabout. Okay.
Yep, correct. The existing parking in front will remain.
Yep.
There's parking along this side, that will remain.
Okay, great.
And today, there's a no parking sign right about here. No parking from here to the corner, so we're not changing anything there.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So the pedestrian crossings, has anyone thought about whether we're going to have any what signage or anything for that? So it was a signage we talked about blinking lights at a previous meeting, so I won't go there with those because people don't like them flashing in their windows. And then just the street lights, silly question, but I think the ones that are already there are kind of older. So if we add the additional lights, would we replace the ones that we have now so that the brightness would pretty much
So
be the
they
same?
would match, at least the overhead lights would match what we have throughout town. I
Okay.
believe as part of this, we are proposing some ornamental at the crosswalks.
Right, we're actually, the 3 that we're planning to add would be ornamental lights. And we're looking
Can
at.
we go back to that slide to
Yeah,
show your,
Absolutely.
thank you. There.
Yep. So the ones that are bright yellow, those are the ones we're proposing to be added. And right now, we're proposing them as ornamental lights. We would probably try to match some of the ones that are elsewhere along this corridor from a style perspective. And we modeled the lighting to account for matching the existing, the wattage or the brightness of the
Yes,
existing
thank
lights.
you.
that
It
are
was
in
a
the
bright,
area.
that's
Yeah.
what I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Some of our crosswalks are really not lit well at all. So if we're going to add some, I'd rather
Bump it
tackle
up a
that
little.
problem here
Yes.
as we're going. So, okay. Thank you.
And you mentioned the signs.
Oh, how would we, has that been envisioned yet? How would we sign those 3 crossing? I understand they're going to have that little center island
Yep.
to stand in, but
Again, yeah, so,
just to make sure our drivers are aware.
I'll take this one to start with. We would have these pedestrian crossing signs positioned at the crosswalk. So as people are coming towards Front Street, they would see that sign, the crosswalk's there. There would be another one on this side for people coming this way. So we would do that at each of the crosswalks. There'd be 2 pedestrian crossing signs. And then you're correct, we provide a 6-foot wide median for refuge for pedestrians in the middle of the islands.
Which I like
Yeah.
that very much. So we wouldn't want to put lights in that center because they might be needed for.
No, they're not necessarily
trucks.
warranted at this type of intersection.
Okay.
Really, I mean, the roundabout itself is designed to slow vehicle speeds.
Which we need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and channelize people coming into the intersection. So it's not really,
I just wondered if while
Yeah.
we're just in, for a future, just in case, if it's feasible to lay a pipe like we do for the electric cars, and just as an in case, would that work? To just lay some pipe if we wanted to run some wires and put lights up, or is that not deep enough?
yeah, I don't know that it would really, we would ever do that here in a
Okay.
roundabout. I think, crossings on either side of it further, down Front Street in both directions where you do have vehicle speeds and people crossing from areas like the municipal lot, they may be justifiable there. Here, I just don't think you're going to necessarily need them.
Yeah, I would agree. And at other locations, you don't have the meeting refuge islands either, so.
I just worry about the kids. There's a lot of kids that do walk to school and back and things like that. So, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, do you mind if I do one more follow-up? You said you're proposing eliminating a crosswalk a little further down?
Yep.
Is that the one near Seminary Lane where the
Yes.
kids?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one that we hear about quite a bit. We relocated as part of this, so that one would go away. Greg, can you speak a little bit to how the actual crossing condition and, how it's a little bit different than that condition up there where people will be looking only in one direction when crossing?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. I kind of mentioned it, where when you're crossing, at a roundabout, when you're crossing the street to the median island, you really only have to look to your left. And then you cross the next leg and then you look to your right. So you're only really looking in one direction at a time, as opposed to when you're crossing the full width of the road in a mid-block crossing, you really have to look both ways.
Left, right, left, right.
Yep.
That's what my mother
And time it,
taught
that's
me.
right, yep,
Yes.
yep.
I still remember. Okay, thank you so much.
Sure enough, yep.
Any other questions?
No, Nancy, those were great questions, though, and I appreciate the detail and thought. I remember talking with voters when I was running for Select Board, which was 8 years ago, and so it feels like,
Finally.
yes, something that we have been talking about for years and years, and, yes, West Side Drive, also talking about that since I ran. So just really appreciate, how much breadth and experience and thoughtfulness has gone into this design. Just expressing gratitude and.
Yeah, I mean, we're biting off projects, a bit at a time, but, you have the roundabout, you have the improvements that were made at Lincoln Street, we have the proposed TAP project down at Front and Railroad, so I think the plan's really coming together nicely, but, it's happening in bits and pieces.
Yeah. And that is appropriate for municipal government, and that is just the way that things work. And yes, and I am also really glad that we are still on track to making these improvements despite having a tough budget year and how hard this is going to be.
It's also in an environment where contractors are still bidding very high.
Yeah.
So that last shoe to drop is how the bids come in, so.
Exciting progress. Selectman Chair?
Well, I just want to say that I love this design. I appreciate all the thought that's gone into it. I love that it calms a stretch of Front Street that has been a bit of a dragway. I love that it gives Pine Street and Linden Street equal access in a way that they never had before. I love that it's going to clear up congestion that happens for people trying to get up Linden Street to vote several times a year in our busy election years. And I can't wait to take a slow, measured spin around the Rotary.
I know, I avoid
it's-
this because it is terrifying.
It's such a great solution, and I understand that there were some voters that were very hesitant about this, but I swear you're going to love it, and I can't wait to use it. So thank you for all the great design. And Paul, thank you for sticking around to help us affect this. I don't take that for granted. I know you love your retirement, so thank you for being here. And Steve, great job keeping all these projects moving forward. So thank you to all three of you.
Thank you for the positive slant on the roundabout. And
Oh, it's
I
the
think
best.
one of the things in the early days here with this project was we didn't have another one in Exeter to point to.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have one.
Right.
Because there's definitely other intersections that
Oh, yeah.
this might be the solution. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a great one in Rye.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's very similar to this.
Yeah, size-wise, yeah.
Yeah, size-wise, exactly. I think a few more access points, one more access point.
One more. I just drove around that yesterday.
Yeah, it's a great solution, and that was a problem intersection, and it's not anymore. And there's so much development that's happened around that roundabout now because it's tamed. It really makes the surrounding property more valuable, which is great for the town as well. So, thank you.
One of the reasons you're seeing them pop up everywhere is because they do work, and they've shown that they work.
Right.
So.
Well, and they make it safe for pedestrians to be there, and that increases the value of the land.
Right.
So I love that we're taming this stretch of Front Street the way you talked about with all the different projects. It's great.
And I have to say, in the design going straight across Front Street, that a lot of people envisioned that that would remain the same and just still be a straight shot, and then the rest of us would try to work our way around it. But I like this because you narrow it down to slow down the traffic, and it really makes it part of the circle.
Yeah, that was a tough one. We put as much curvature in as we could within the confines. It should still work, yeah.
Well, we'll slow down a little bit, because I'll tell you that, as our now former police chief said, the flashing lights just aren't really slowing people down. I'm amazed that, I go by through this intersection several times a day, and the amount of flashing you can see from a distance, but people don't even brake when they're speeding. It's discouraging. So,
Maybe we won't have a flipped over car next Memorial Day.
that was another cool thing. Yeah.
Thanks all.
Well, it's exciting to see these projects moving forward. Very exciting, and I too want to express my gratitude, Steve, to you and your team, and Greg, to you.
Thank you.
And any day I get to see you, Paul, is a good day for me, so thank you.
Positive next step. This is good.
All right, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward to regular business. Madam Clerk, we have we have an abatement and a credit.
We do. So I move the following abatement. Map 64, Lot 105, Unit 22, in the amount of $913.61 for the tax year 2025.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
I move for the following veterans credit for map 68, lot 6, unit 428, in the amount of $500 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next we have a donation to accept. We have a memo in our packet from Corey Stevens, the Finance Director. Did you want to speak to this? No? Okay. Pretty straightforward. I'm just looking here. Corey, I couldn't find the name of the donor. See, I was going to make it anyway.
Good evening. So the way we're going to work this with Pearpoint Park is we're going to collect for a month.
Okay.
and then put one acceptance form together, and on the back, we'll have the slate of folks who donated.
I see.
So it's
Okay.
various folks, and then we'll recognize them with acknowledgement letter and all, but rather than come to you, every other week with a.
Good idea. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Stevens? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to accept the donations received during the months of December 2025 and January 2026, totaling $1,250 for the design and construction of Pearpoint Park, and to direct the funds be held by the trustees of trust funds in the Pearpoint Park Fund. Disbursement of the funds shall be made by authorization of the interim town manager or their designee for the purpose of designing and/or constructing Pearpoint Park.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for the
And
donation.
Thank you for the donations.
May I make a comment?
Please.
Thank you. I was just checking in on Keith Whitehouse, West Side Drive. Just checking in on my proposal as far as we're talking about Pearpoint donations. I'm not expecting, Mr. Chartrand, I realize you're abstaining from this, but the other four, just not expecting an answer tonight, just a friendly reminder that, March is coming quickly, and would like to do that if it's something you would consider. There's a lot of snow out there, but that hole can be shoveled, and the snow can be gone. And even on a 20-degree day, it will dissipate.
So my fault, because I was supposed to call you.
Okay?
We talked about this, I meet with the executive team every week, and we go over our future agendas. And I was supposed to call you yesterday, and I got wrapped up, but we are planning on getting you on one of the March agendas.
Great.
And we will be in touch with you later this week.
I appreciate it.
So that's on me, and I apologize.
No worries. Thank you.
Right, thanks. Okay, moving forward, the interim town manager.
Good evening. So each year we have requests for our transportation fund. A few years back, this used to be an operating cost, and then we moved it to a transportation fund, which is funded through our car registrations through the town clerk. We're able to add on a small fee. We used to pay for the senior taxi ticket program out of this fund as well. Each year, organizations will put together an application for whatever their dollar amount is. And in the past, since it was put into the transportation fund, Russ was approving them. Since I'm interim, I thought it would be a good idea for me to bring them to you folks. The two that we've received 3 requests, one from Task, one from Meals on Wheels, and one from Coast. The 2 that I'm asking for us to discuss and hopefully approve tonight are from Task and Meals on Wheels, and the reason for that is those requests are for the same requests that they've had for the last year or so. So we have typically, over the last few years, given $16,000 to both Rockingham Meals on Wheels and to the Task program. Coast's request is substantially more than it normally is and really needs to be reviewed a little bit more before I bring that to you. But these are organizations that do depend on this every year. And I'd like to get them an answer. I've reviewed them. Pam McElroy, who also does human services, like I said, these are the amounts that we've approved in the last few years. And I can speak just when I was working at Park and Rec with all of my seniors, we use both of these services pretty significantly. So I do think it's a good use of our transportation funding.
Any questions for Ms. Roy?
No, only that if Russ has been doing it and you're the interim town manager, unless there's a significant difference, like you increase, as you said, in one of the 3, you're not comfortable signing off on the other 2, or?
I think we need to review the process. I want to just review the process.
Thank you for clarifying
So
that. Okay.
I just felt that it would be appropriate.
Just for more transparency.
No, absolutely, I just wanted to understand if that's how we did it, why we want to do it. But I appreciate that because transparency is very important. And looking at processes is important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, that's what the transportation fund is for, so it's working.
Then I would entertain a motion to approve the request from Transportation Assistance for Seacoast Citizens, or TASC, 2026 Human Service Transportation Funding in the amount of $16,000 to be paid from the Transportation Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And I would entertain a motion to approve Rockingham Meals on Wheels 2026 Human Service Transportation Funding Request in the amount of $16,000 to be paid from the Transportation Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Ms. Roy, the town manager report, please.
Good evening. So we had a really nice retirement send-off for Police Chief Poulin, whose last day was today, and then we swore in interim Chief McCain this morning. So I wanted to thank Pam and all of the people that put things together, and Deputy Chief McCain, who helped with that. I thought that was a very nice event for Chief Poulin, and welcome Deputy Chief McCain as interim. Corey and I continue to work in the police and fire substation, preparing to discuss putting together I'll call it a budget video, but we're working on getting that ready to give information to the community. We did deal with some property owner dispute, which was dealt with code enforcement. So that spent a little bit of time, and then some personnel issues as well. But everything else is going pretty well.
Any questions for Ms. Roy? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to Select Board Committee reports. Selectwoman Gilman, please.
Let me first ask.
You're doing the housing.
I'm doing this?
If you're doing your update, you might as well tell them what you told us.
I don't remember.
Then it's fine. I'll just cover the basics.
There's several bills at the State House that have to deal with housing. A lot of them are tenants' rights, which are really putting it into writing what tenants can or have to do as far as charging first and last month's rent and a security deposit and no dogs allowed, and warning before there's a change of ownership, and just kind of organizing it all. The other things that are coming up are, I don't remember. Today was a really bad day at the State House, and I have put a lot of stuff behind me.
Status of the Housing Champions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Housing Champions Program, which we received the honor of being awarded, was not funded for last year and this year. So the program, which would that puts us ahead of other towns that haven't gotten the designation when we file for a grant for infrastructure improvements. So that's one of the reasons to go and, work on your housing and provide more and plan for more. So Exeter, is up there with, 9 towns, I think, or 9 towns and cities. There was a bill to repeal it, which passed the House, but there is a bill in the Senate, SB 419, which puts it back in and funds it. So let's all get that one.
Keep it going at this point.
Yep.
There is a benefit to us being designated as far as the one-up.
And one of the reasons that people didn't like it was because it gave us, one up above other towns, but that's what an incentive is. So.
I'm sorry. I'm trying very hard not to. Okay.
Yeah. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Selectwoman Belanger, please.
Okay, just bear with me, please. I tried to minimize this as much as possible. So we had our special select board meeting for anyone who wanted to come talk to us about our new town manager. So I just want to thank those who came in, and also I think we've received an email on that. I had a rec advisory board on February 11th. It was a great, I think, tutorial for the board to understand or get it into a deeper dive of our budgeting process. So I am not going to go line by line like I planned at first because I would be here all night. But it was a very good conversation. I urge people to watch it. It was a very good conversation. And just there's going to be a few upcoming proposed expenditures that they voted on, but until they come before us, I won't get into that. So their next meeting is not until May 13th. And then I had a planning board meeting on February 12th. There was a minor subdivision that was approved at 13 Bayberry Lane. Ben Richards of Unitil, from Unitil, came to talk to us about tree pruning and the removal of hazardous trees and shrubs following some scenic roads in Exeter that include Pickpocket, John West, Powder Mill, Birch, and Garrison Lane. So I'm going to stress that Jay Perkins, who is our tree warden, is that the right term? Did confirm with Unitil, they went around and confirmed that the tag trees are hazardous and need to come down. I'm encouraging anyone that lives on any of these roads to look for orange tags on their trees. Of course, Mr. Richards said he can't help it if people take little tags down, but just so you know. But they do go to people's homes and put not the door, what are those things called? Pardon?
Hangers.
Hangers. Jeez, I was going to say door knockers. I couldn't get rid of that.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's good. Thank you. Notifications, but if anyone has any questions, I want to stress that they email at the following: forestry@unitil.com, or I went on their website. If you go on their website under the safety tab, go to tree trimming, and there's an 800 number, 1-888-301-7700 phone number for people if they have any questions for trees that are in or near their yards. And then we had a presentation.
Can I ask you something about that?
You can try.
Well, I just want to tell you about my experience. I had a tree that was marked on my yard for coming down because it, got up into the wires and et cetera, and they didn't give me a door tag, and it was up there the tree was tagged for months. And so when I called Unitil to ask them what's going on, they have contracted out a forester. So that's who you got to wait to speak to. You might end up with
But this is what they instructed at our planning board meeting, that you contact via email or this phone number, and they'll take care of you from there. I don't know how long ago yours was, and maybe they changed
years, maybe
the process. Okay, and then we had a presentation of the Complete Streets Design Guidelines from Scott Bogle, who is a senior transportation planner at Rockingham Planning Commission. The board as a whole felt that there was a lot of information and wants to think about what was presented and discussed, and possibly have one more meeting on this. But what was covered are some of our dangerous intersections, concerns about a few locations of crosswalks. There were two particular ones, the one near Loaf and Ladle and the one up on Buzzlove High Street where the sidewalk ends. Isn't there a book about that, a kid's book? And then to look at lights at our crosswalks and how we could possibly use educational safety tools, signage, painting on roads and in roads showing the bike lanes. And what I really wanted for this board to, at this point, was to consider, they strongly are suggesting that we have a committee, an advisory committee. And we'll get more specific down the road, but it's just to plant a seed here. And then I had a housing advisory committee the following morning on the 13th. There was an ongoing discussion with our Exeter Housing Authority for different ways to maybe facilitate or collaborate with possible workforce housing options. We also have Darren Wenham and Doug Eastman. They're working on a list of properties that will include boundaries and just to provide properties that Exeter has or owns. Though we got a little bogged down because for some reason they were including conservation, and that, I don't know why that was included.
on the map.
Yeah, but anyway, and then Julie came to give us some update on housing, on bills between the House and Senate that involve housing. And then we saw a brief video that Darren Wenham has collaborated with Exeter TV regarding economic development in town. And then I attended Chief Poulin's retirement party. And first I want to thank him again for his dedication and service and his approach and what he did with that department. One of the two things that stood out to me, one, recognizing how many people recognized how important his wife and family were to his being a police officer for all of these years, for the 27 years, and to see his daughter hearing all these wonderful things at her age. I'm sure down the road in her life, she's going to remember a lot of those moments. So I don't know, that just really touched me very deeply. And how much respect, genuine respect, he is leaving his department with. Melissa, you did a great job with your introduction, and anyone who else who spoke, Nico. But I think he deserves recognition for all the positive things he did. And that what ranked true to me so much was that listening to people who've known him a lot longer than I have, he stayed true to who he was. And by doing that, he just did some great things. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And that is the end of my
Thank you.
very long report.
Selectwoman Cowan. Selectwoman Chartrand.
Briefly, on the 4th of February, I attended a Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting at 7 p.m. We had a great conversation about sustainability issues, as always. And on the 10th of February, I missed a Concom meeting because I was celebrating my son's birthday. So some things come first.
Absolutely.
That's my report.
Well, happy belated, Anthony. You're watching?
I'm sure he is.
Oh, yeah.
Riveted.
Highly doubt it. He gets enough of his father, doesn't he?
Pearpoint Park did not meet due to lack of quorum. River Advisory is rescheduled for March. And let's see, Swayze Parkway trustees is tomorrow. I too attended Chief Poulin's retirement party, and it was very nicely done. And he texted me Friday night, and he was very appreciative of everything. So this morning I attended the swearing in of Interim Chief McCain. I believe I'm going to be hanging out with you two tomorrow for the video.
Yes.
And I was invited to a local organization, their monthly meeting last week, to go over the warrant and take any questions, and that was good. And then I believe February 26th, I'll be joining town staff at Riverwoods to go over several warrant articles and take questions from them, so.
Do we have any contested races on the ballot?
Not that I am aware.
Library,
Oh,
I think the library trustee.
oh,
I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen
I
it
don't
yet.
know, but I can take a look.
I checked last week and there was nothing.
I haven't looked.
Didn't
but-
think so, but
Okay.
And I may have misspoke, but
Nico is typically right.
no. Hard-
No pressure.
But I will
you
double
really
check.
are.
Hardly.
Typically right.
Hardly.
If you aren't, it's.
So while Melissa looks that up,
Yeah.
of
Mr.
course,
Chair?
yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, can I just go over some legislation things?
Of course.
And I'm doing this just because they affect our town government,
Yeah.
not because I've taken a position. One of the interesting bills we heard today was about road agents, and it would be who we now have as Jay Perkins as our manager, highway manager. This bill would ask the legislative body to give the governing body permission to appoint a road agent, or we would elect one for a term of 1 or 2 or 3 years. That passed out of my committee. Default budgets are getting messed with again. We heard one today that would require governing bodies to explain, or would give them the authority to add or subtract things from the default budget. one that we're going to hear is just doing away with the default budget altogether, so that if your proposed budget fails, then you go on like what's called a continuing resolution and just use the teacher's budget. It's not well
That's the
written.
default budget. Never mind.
No, there's.
I get so frustrated sometimes.
Yeah.
I missed that. If it fails, what happens?
You are in a continuing resolution. They don't use that word in there, but that's basically what it is. And you use last year's budget until we vote again, and we only vote once a year. So, it's a problem. There's one. Well, there's three more default budget ones. I don't remember the details, but basically my argument is usually if it's a problem in your town, fix it, because they're all coming from places that have had a difficulty with their particular school board or their particular select board. And, I explained what we've done with our budget of having a column that, this will go on the default budget or not, and why, and a column to explain it. And I think that's enough, personally. But there's more coming, and those are the ones that I remember after today's marathon. Thank you.
Well, thank you for representing us.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
You were correct. The library is a contested race. I stand corrected. I am so sorry.
So 4 running.
You just proved her point that you were correct.
Always
so
right. Yeah.
I didn't say always. I think I said
Right.
typically.
She gave you some little playroom there.
I'd like to move on, please. Where are we? Correspondence. We have the annual customer notice from Xfinity. We have a letter from the landscape manager at Riverwoods to Mr. Richard Unitil about the tree trimming in the Pear Orchard area, and then, of course, our NHMA municipal bulletin. If the board will indulge me, I looked at the calendar and tried to go as somewhat halfway into the summer, recognizing that we've done 2 Tuesday meetings. One, we have to because of the budget, and then, of course, tonight's because of the holiday. And I try to avoid doing that. And I also like to try to stay consistent with every other Monday. So we've already done March. I'll repeat that. March 2nd, March 16th, and March 30th. And then if everybody has their calendars, I'll continue. April 13th, April 27th, and then to navigate Memorial Day weekend and keep consistent through June, I'm proposing that we go back to back after 4/27. We meet on May 4th.
That, the 27th is the school vacation week. That's, okay.
Yep.
Pardon?
So you said May 4th.
May 4th, May 18th, June 1st, June 15th, and June 29th.
Are those all Mondays?
Yes. Did everyone get those? Okay. All right. And then I'd also like to remind everyone at home, March 10th is the town election. Tuesday, March 10th, 7 a.m. at the Tuck, closes at 8 p.m. And I think Selectwoman Belanger and Selectman Chartrand, you'll need to line up some folks to volunteer to.
I'm working on it. I have all
Okay.
but 2 slots filled.
And if you are if you are registering for the first time, you need to bring
Everything.
documentary proof of citizenship, which includes if you are married and you have changed your name and it doesn't match your documents, you have to bring proof of those changes. So for example, if you have been divorced and you have changed your name or not changed your name, and you have to then bring your marriage certificate and then your divorce decree to prove that you are the same person on your birth certificate or on your passport. So just as a reminder that there is a huge burden to register to vote. It is also very important that you do vote. So please be aware of all the laws, and we are working really hard to protect the right and access to vote.
Yes, we are.
And then for Selectwoman Belanger and Selectman Chartrand, I know the moderator likes to get a list of who you've lined up and times, and if you could get me that too, just so I know, because I'm usually there all day.
Yep.
And if you're struggling, my wife can probably give 4 or 5.
Yes, I have.
So can mine, probably. Actually, I shouldn't volunteer.
My plan is
She
to
authorized me to volunteer.
Yeah, my plan is to get my email with names and contact information and each time slot that I had to wiggle around to both you and Kate by Monday.
Awesome, okay.
That's my hope.
Okay.
I'm still
Well, we've got
waiting
some
to hear
time,
back.
But thanks. What else? Okay, anything else before? I ask that we go into non-public under RSA 91A, 32A. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartran?
Aye.
Selectman Cowan?
Aye.
Selectwoman Gilman? Oh my
Aye.
gosh. The clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. The board will be going into non-public. Thank you, everyone.
I was doing great
Thank
right
you
until
for
the last
tuning in
one.
to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.